Hello, we're back in Nye County. Chuck Augustine, Tom Gibson, and we are continuing our criticism of the government, and we haven't come up with any issues yet, or issues, but haven't come up with any plans yet, but we soon will, because Chuck and I will, in upcoming episodes, we don't just, like some people, just tear everything down. We tear things down to prove a point, and then we're going to start injecting our own positive ideas into it.
Okay, real quick, Steve had called in and said the commissioners' meeting was not broadcast today. And the reason is they have a new tech that just started last week who covers the meetings. And unfortunately, with him learning the job and all the ropes around here, it simply, the word never got out to him that the meeting was today and that, you know, we broadcast it and blah, 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 all the details involved. So it was kind of, he got caught with his pants down. They promised that the future meetings will be broadcast, and our deepest apology. It will be covered on the news as it normally is at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Okay, Steve, we got you back on the line.
Yeah, you know, your last caller, as far as investigating these people that work for us, I think his name was Gary.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, you know, when I worked at the test site, I was randomly drug tested. That means they tap you on the shoulder and says, "Come on, let's go." And so we got lawmakers that's over us, commissioners, that's making these laws that are not randomly drug tested. One of them is admittedly medical marijuana. I mean, I could not use marijuana at the test site regardless, medical or whatever. And I mean, there needs to be a way that we can protect ourselves against these lawmakers. I mean, I don't know, maybe the lawyer can help out on this. I mean, is there a way we can help or protect ourselves?
Well, those drug laws you're talking about, or the drug testing, that would be federal, because the test site is a federal organization, not state or county. And if you wanted to, I mean, they have a reason for that, because they don't need people getting injured on the job when they're dealing with sensitive materials, and whenever you're in a restricted site like the test site, you know, it's not a good idea to show up there half stoned. And if they don't take the test, then you'll never know if the person is high or is under the influence. And in addition to that, people shouldn't take jobs on the test site or government jobs if they're going to be using drugs. It's just, you know, it's poor form. So anyways, so the short answer is, you were complaining about the you know, the government. Well, it's actually the federal government, and our county commission and our state legislator would have nothing at all to do with, and they would have no call on whether you could have drugs there on campus.
Well, you know, I had a chance to talk to Sharon about that, and because she worked at
one-sided.
She worked at the test site, and I actually went through a lot of classes with Sharon, and she agreed with me that we on a local level should have our people tested. You know, I mean, you can't have people have authority over you that's not tested. I mean, I worked on stuff like fan blowers. Okay, I didn't work on making laws like commissioners. I mean, when I was at the test site, that's what I did. I worked on fan blowers. What's a fan blower? I come in there stoned working on fan blowers. What do I do? Screw up the fan blower? Okay, look at these commissioners. They screwed up people's lives. Look what they do in the Hoff. I mean, it's just, we need to have a way to control these commissioners. And I don't know how we're going to do it.
Well, you're going to find tomorrow, after the Hoff hearing, you're going to find out how much control our commissioners have.
Yeah, you know, I was reading about his lawyer, and I know you're a good lawyer. I'm not discounting you, but he really, he got him he got him a lawyer that's, I think he's going to really spank him good. And like I said earlier, I hope that your radio station there would go down there, because unfortunately I can't go tomorrow. I'd love to. In fact, I called Hoff. He wants me to go. But unfortunately I can't. I really love the radio station. I know they're listening because I'm talking, is to go down there and film this and watch Shinhopper and all these people squirm. I mean, I love it to death. So.
Okay, Steve, thank you.
Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Okay. To me, the answer isn't drug testing. It's doing away with the power they have over us. Doing away with the wealth that is created by their power over us. How do we do that? Well, one of the more ridiculous articles I read in the paper recently was about the district attorneys and how many turnovers there's been since one of the deputies started 10 years ago. And there's been 5 district attorneys. And he made the case that all were good, nice people, and all that stuff. And said, yeah, I just don't really know why the turnover. Well,
Are you talking about deputy district attorneys?
no, district attorney. There was Coonsey, Bello,
Beckett.
Vito temporarily, Beckett, and another one. Wasn't there?
Well, before Beckett, it was.
Okay, but anyway, to me the point is the district attorney is charging people, and have been for at least 10 years, way more than that, with ridiculously trivial crimes. They're nabbing anybody that touches a white line with a huge traffic fine violation. It's a police state. This county is a police state, and it's ridiculous. There are crimes there that should be punished in this county, but there are a vast majority that are trivial, non-harmful to their neighbors, and that's why district attorneys can't get reelected, because people are fed up with what they're doing. And why don't we realize that? Why don't we admit it? They can't admit it because they think what they're doing to people is the right thing. They think somehow this society they're creating of little robots walking around scared to death that some cop's going to bang on their door or pull them over. And God knows what they're going to do with them. If they're lucky, they're going to be charged with a crime.
I think we're going to see some more positive things under our the new district attorney. I'm assuming Chris is going to prevail over his Democratic opponent, but Chris is a libertarian slash Republican, or Republican slash libertarian. He
they're all Republicans.
Well,
except
I get.
Coonsey.
Well, no, Coonsey was a Democrat,
Yeah.
but Angela and Coonsey both are people that admire big government, and that's not a good thing for anybody to do, because big government doesn't work, and that's, rather than looking for the United Nations for help, people should be looking in their own backyard. It's people.
Bingo.
People helping people. A fragmented society, in many ways, is a safer, happier society.
Yes. And to me, we shouldn't wait for a new district attorney to solve the problem. It should be the people. That's the way the government was set up.
But when you
That's
say
what
the
this
people,
book is about.
the people won't get off their collective arses
Exactly.
to do anything,
Well,
and
sure.
you have to light a fire under their butts. And the only thing that gets them going, there has to be a catalyst to get somebody, and something makes somebody snap. Sometimes it's a murder, sometimes it's or an untimely death, sometimes it's some tragedy, whatever. But that is what it takes. And you see the very best and the very worst of people when there's a tragedy. And sometimes it takes that to like I say, inspire people to get moving.
Right. Amy, we got you on the line, girl.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When you're talking about big government, I think it takes money these days to make an impression. And tomorrow is going to be one example of how much money Hoff has to make this an example. Did you hear me?
Yes, I agree with you, unfortunately.
Well, and again, I was in court the other day. I go to different courts, and listen, not all the time, but sometimes. And actually, it was pretty sad because, and I don't know the whole story, but there was a woman that was incarcerated because she couldn't pay her fine. She said it was either feed my kids or don't pay the fine. And now she's incarcerated and she doesn't have her kids.
Absolutely. Ray talks about that all the time.
Yeah, and another thing about the commissioners thing today, not only was the town upset about what the commissioners did by revoking Hawk's license, there was an agenda item on the golf course. And everybody knows that we were against the town of Pahrump buying this defunct golf course, which they did anyway. But the item today was to pay for the expense of running it with county tax money. Now, I don't think that's legal. What do you think, Tom?
Could you repeat that again? Somebody had texted me. I'm sorry.
They want to pay for the golf course with
the town
taxes.
bought the golf course for $350,000.
Okay.
Today on the agenda, there was an item for the room tax to pay $4,500 a month to run this place, you know, for the people working there, and $1,000 extra for the bookkeeping. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, room tax is county money.
I mean, what's your question?
Is it legal?
Well,
is it legal?
Isn't that illegal? The county would fund a town enterprise. I might open up a business and ask them to
I think
run my business.
I think the county is allowed to franchise and actually engage in businesses too. It's just that they have different, you know, there's supposed to be oversight and additional rules, but you can, governments aren't precluded from being involved in business ventures with private parties.
Even though it's a township venture.
Well, that part I'm not so sure, because once it went from the township kind of folded, the county absorbed it. So, and when the county absorbs the township, at least in its responsibilities, they also absorb the rights and responsibilities as well.
Well, I was totally unaware that they absorbed the town of Pahrump.
Well, yeah, because there was the township of Pahrump, and remember they used to have their little meetings on Tuesday nights, and just like the commission has meetings, and they had you know the town board. Well, that's all gone. But when the town did exist, there was some infrastructure, and a lot of that infrastructure was delegated to the town by the county, and so the county's just basically again taking it back.
Oh, that's wild. Well, there you go, Chuck.
I know, Amy, it's a battle, and yeah, we haven't even started. People like you, thank God for you, and we need a whole lot more. Thanks, Amy. We got to go to break now.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Okay, we'll be back for the last segment in a minute or two.